Hello, this is Debbie Rochester with All Good Home Watch. And today we have Tina Makris from Knockout Plumbing, headquartered in Queen Creek, Arizona. Tina, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I love chatting with you, Debbie. It's all good.
It is all good. All right, Tina, so we're going to jump into the questions. First of all, how did you get into the business of plumbing?
That's a great question. So me personally, I really don't know anything about plumbing, beautiful people. But what I do know is people. And I do know that we are all in the people business, whatever that looks like. And that's what I try to convey with Knockout. So how this came to be is I met our owner, Dan Harper, when he was replacing a water heater at one of our properties. And I basically just asked him, hey, man, what's your story? And he said, let me finish this job and then I'll tell you all about it. So that's what he did. So after he finished the install, we stepped off of my property. And he said, I've helped some really amazing plumbing companies in the Valley grow. And I'm ready to start my own. So I'm going to be starting my own soon. And I said, well, let me know if you need some help. And that's how that happened.
I love that. That. So I'm a home watch company. And so the reason I'm interviewing you is to give some tips and advice to homeowners to prevent things that maybe you see a lot that you're like, oh, the homeowner should really be doing this. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And of course, anything else that you want to jump in and share, of course. So when leaving for a few months, because that's really what the snowbirds are doing, the winter visitors, what should a homeowner turn their water heater to? That's a question that I get a lot. What would you suggest?
So very good question. I would have to say probably nearly more than 20 to 25% of our business is water heater related. Unfortunately, it's urgent or emergency water heater related. And in fact, when the snowbirds, and we love you all, when you do return and you turn your water on and you get things going, typically that's what happens is there's a pipe issue, there's a leak somewhere, and you originally might think it's your water heater, but it could turn out to actually be something deep into your pipes or even a slab leak. So you have to be really careful about that. And your water heater is a great indicator as to what might be happening. So the first thing I always like to say about water heaters is routinely, and I'm talking maybe once a month as you're having a sip of your coffee or your tea or whatever it might be, just go walk around and do a visible inspection of your plumbing. And one of those is, of course, your water heater. So visitor, talk nice to her, I say, and just make sure that things look dry around underneath at the pan under the water heater and all around it. And make sure there aren't any kinks of any kind in any of the hose that you might see or anything like that, because that's really important. So when it comes to what you do, turning off your water heater, if you're going to be gone more than 24 hours, is typically advised. Right now, some water heaters have a vacation mode that you can utilize, and that's great, especially on our tank water heaters, because those are most important because they hold on to water no matter what. And I'll talk about tankless in just a moment. So if you have a vacation mode, go for it. Read up on your manufacturer's suggestions and follow that. If you don't, then, go to your breaker box and turn off your water heater. And it can be scary at first, but it's something that we do recommend that you do. Now, if you have a vacation mode, that's awesome because it keeps just enough energy going to your water heater that your pipes, the water that's in your pipes won't freeze and things of that nature. So that's important to know. Pipes freezing in Arizona still is a thing. Even though we are in the desert, it does happen. Specifically in our 55 and over communities. So if you are living in a manufactured home, for example, and you've had this home for say 15 to 20 years, you better knock on any kind of lucky door that you can, because chances are you're going to need a repipe soon. And we're seeing that a lot in the Apache Junction area and in the Gold Canyon area, because these RV communities have been around for a little bit. And the water heater is suffering right away. But, turn that breaker off. Bottom line, just turn the breaker off. Now, if it's a tankless, that's a little bit different because water isn't being held in the tank. Also, a tank water heater, you really need to service those. So if you're leaving, call a plumbing company. If you have a plumbing maintenance agreement, time it so they come out and they do a full service on that before you do leave your home for a few months or a few weeks. With the tankless, they only need to be serviced maybe every 18 months to 2 years. But make sure someone takes a look at it before you leave. It's not such a bad idea because, tank water heaters can last 18, 20 years, where, a tankless water heater can last 18 to 20 years. And a tank guy right now in our state, you're maybe looking at 7 to 9 years. So it's important to, number one, stay on top of the health of your water heater. Know that you can turn it off. And if turning it off isn't an option and you'd rather have it in a vacation mode, then please do that because it enables that water heater to still have enough energy going to it. So I hope I addressed that a little bit.
Definitely. Now, if it doesn't, there's no vacation mode, then just turn it off and then go to the breaker and then also turn it off.
Correct.
Perfect. And does Knockout Plumbing install both tankless and tank water
Yes,
heaters? Perfect.
absolutely. We install them, we service them, we replace them. Absolutely. And it used to be that solar water heaters was a thing here in the Valley. We don't see as many of those anymore, but we actually do service those also.
Wonderful. Very good to know.
Sure.
A few homeowners have told me that they put bleach or vinegar in their toilets. And then some of them will even take saran wrap and cover it up so that the water doesn't, I still go around and I still flush the water and cycle it, but this is to prevent from animals from coming in. So do you recommend the bleach, the vinegar, covering it up with the saran wrap?
That's a really good question. Of course you can. The preference is that they hire you to take care of their home because it's really healthier for everything regarding your plumbing because, baby, it is all connected. If you can have someone come in on a regular basis and flush your toilets, it's really important for that. Bottom line is toilets collect, how can I say, bacteria. Let's just say it that way, right? So they collect bacteria, which can cause odor and stains. Hands down. When I was a kid, my mom used to pour vinegar into our toilets and say, don't use your toilet for however amount of long time, and then yada, yada. And she did that on a regular basis. She also washed the windows in our home with vinegar, her and my dad, and they would make it like this fun game and they would do it together. So it was kind of cool. So every time I actually smell vinegar chips, sometimes I think of those great memories of what my folks got into. But absolutely, you want to make sure that the toilet is being flushed. If it's not going to be flushed very often, then sure. If you want to put some vinegar in it, absolutely. And cover it with saran wrap. And you're right, Debbie, when it comes to sewer odor, as the water dissipates, there's going to be an odor. There just is. That's just what happens with the gases. So because of that, if you have that stretched layer of plastic across the toilet, then that's going to help that situation. But, keep in mind, not only is there a sewer odor, but you're right, there are critters that can actually come up into the toilet.
I've never seen a critter come in the toilet. I've only been here a year and a half. What kind of critters would come up through a toilet?
It depends on the type of, type of piping that you have also, like for example, PEX is really great piping to have for your house, right? PEX hose. It's awesome. It's fantastic. There's also PVC, of course, that a lot of homes still have today and a lot of new homes are being built with. And every once in a while, a critter can penetrate that somehow. But you definitely, because of the sewer, you may actually have bugs that will come up into the toilet area.
The dishwasher and the washing machine. Can you please tell us some tips about how to maintain those while a homeowner is away?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Knockout's not in the appliance service business. So follow your manufacturer recommendations for the upkeep of that. So I was thinking about this actually this afternoon, and I love to give what I call PSAs, which are plumbing service announcements. And one of the things that you can do regarding specifically your dishwasher, and I do this often, is, please remember, your dishwasher is connected to a drain pipe, not a trash can. So in your dishwasher, there is a filter, there is pumps, there's everything that can to break down debris to get it out of your dishwasher. They're coming up with dishwashers where they say, hey, you don't have to clean any plates off. You can just put them in. And that sounds so groovy in a commercial. But I can tell you that if you could please get rid of that debris, in fact, put it in the trash can, even avoid your garbage disposal, because that too, beautiful people, is connected to a drain pipe and not a trash can. So think of that. Think of when grease dries and it solidifies. Some folks will just leave that on a cookie sheet or a pan and put that in their dishwasher. Please don't do that. Scrape that off into some foil when it dries, and then throw that and toss it in your garbage. Another thing you can do with your dishwasher is occasionally, and I'm looking to my left because that's where the dishwasher is to wipe it down. Wipe down the seal on the inside of the door with a damp rag, and you can put a little vinegar on it if you like, but I just typically wipe it down with a damp rag. I also wipe the inside of the door of the dishwasher, and I wipe out the tub basin of the dishwasher. And I do that every couple of weeks, just to make sure that there isn't anything growing in there that shouldn't be growing. Also, you can leave your dishwasher door propped open in between washes if you'd like, and that will help to minimize odor and things that might grow inside your dishwasher by keeping the door closed all the time. But I know a lot of folks who don't use their dishwashers, which is kind of crazy. So I always say, then at least run some kind of a cycle if you can once a week, whatever that looks like. And then it's kind of cool because people will say to me, hey, Tina, I took that advice and now I actually use my dishwasher. And now I'm back to cooking. And now I'm back to eating healthier. And now I'm back to, right? So you never know what might become a domino effect. But it's really important that you understand that the dishwasher is there as a tool. It's there to help you, but you have to take care of it. Also, when your dishwasher was hooked up, it's really important that certain hoses are at certain heights to help the flow better. And again, those are things that I am not familiar with, but your manufacturer should know that, and anyone who installed your dishwasher. Now your washing machine. Again, the washing machine is connected to a drain pipe. So when you're throwing things in your washing machine, I have heard stories where full-on pants soaked in mud have gone into a washing machine, different things of that nature. So just please remember that if you can, shake out animal fur before you throw it in your washing machine, all of those things. And it's really important that you stay on top of that. And if you're going to be gone from your dishwasher and your washing machine, just please make sure that you have everything out of it. There's no water that is in the basin of each one, in the tubs of each one, that is cleared out. And on your washing machine, you can leave your lid open and pop open the compartments in between cycles and when you're gone for extended amount of time so that nothing grows inside of that either. That's really important. Plastic hoses and pipes can cause, how can I say this? It can develop various leaks or kinks or clogs. It's just natural to happen. So it's really important you stay on top of the maintenance of that. Have things checked out before you're going to leave for a while. And actually hire somebody like you, Debbie, who can come in and keep an eye on these things. Because as many of us know, plumbing, roofing, and HVAC, those are three important areas to your home that you really want to have a professional watching out for you. This past I think it was August and September, the calls we received with water leaks when the snowbirds were arriving were just tremendous. And the water pipe bursts and the water heater issues, it was rampant. So I can tell you from experience by looking at the jobs that we have had, it's important that you stay on top of that and stick with somebody like you. All Good Home Watch, Debbie Rochester.
So just curious, so when somebody does call and they return after being gone for a little bit, do you ask them, was anybody watching your home? Like, is that a question? And what is their answer?
Generally they will say, of course, a friend, a neighbor, right? Or, well, I thought someone was going to, they said they were going to check on it, what that looks like. Even if I we went away for just a few days to California, and I had one neighbor check on our home that had a background in construction. And then another neighbor checked on our home because they took care of the outside, the plants and all the things that they love to do. It's really important that you have that happen. And we were only gone for a few days. So when you do leave your home, I try to find out why this happened, right? And here's a good example, Debbie. So our neighbor goes and she travels a lot. She's living a wonderful life. She's traveling at this point in time. So she's able to experience some things. She's been gone. She came back, walked into her home, thought she had a water heater leak. She had been gone for quite a while on a cruise, I think. Thought she had a water heater leak. So she called Knockout. So one of our techs came and said, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not a water heater leak. It's a pipe break under the home. Oh. And she was gone for just a little while. She didn't have anyone checking on it. So I can tell you that if you can do it, have someone who knows what they're doing come and do that and watch out for your home, who can actually give you a report, organic report as to here's what's happening. Here's what I experienced. Here's what I can tell you is happening. Because it would have saved our neighbor thousands of dollars, unfortunately. And even though we tried to give the most reasonable rate, it's still a pipe break. And that affected all of her flooring, some of her furniture, and most of the cabinets in her kitchen.
Yeah. Now, right? I know that pipe breaks can probably happen anywhere, but sure. Is like when you're visually walking around the house and looking for things, where do most of the first visual I don't know what the right word is, but where do you mostly see the water start to come from when there is a pipe break under the house?
That's a good point. So if you're in a concrete foundation and there's a pipe break, a slab leak, we call it, you're going to see a discoloration in your flooring. You will feel a softened area when you step on that flooring, if it's not, a tile situation, if it's carpeting, if it's vinyl plank, you'll feel it. You might see a bubble in it, things of that nature. So that's something to look for when you come back or you turn your water back on, if you hadn't turned it off at the main. The second is actually that little water hose behind your refrigerator that brings to your ice and your water. If you can, have a plumber install a valve right there in the wall so that they can turn that valve off that goes to the water and ice maker. That's something, and we do see leaks from that are just floods. In fact, it can happen pretty quick. And then, of course, your water heater, which is, it just is a mecca. Softeners, we don't see it as much because most of the piping comes up at a different level. But with the water heater, everything drains down and continues to go down that way, especially if it's a tank. So that's just natural physics there. So check around your refrigerator in your kitchen, look in your flooring to see if there's any discoloration, lumps, or any softness when you walk. And then, of course, visit your water heater.
Wonderful. So when somebody's purchasing a home or maybe just needing to replace their water heater, what are some questions that homeowners should be asking and aren't?
Great question. So with the housing market, we have seen a lot of purchases on homes that are 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, 15, 20, 25 years old. And there for a while, we were seeing purchases of homes where there wasn't any great upkeep that was done with the home. So when we come in, one of the things that when you're looking at a home that I always say right away is ask, how old is the water heater? If the water heater is more than 5 or 6 years old, you really want to think about that. If it makes you nervous that you've asked about that, or that you've talked about, if you notice the bathrooms haven't been remodeled, if you notice there isn't, any new toilets in there, new sinks, if you open up the cabinets and you have an odor underneath, things of that nature, that's where I would, if you're serious about that home, I would consider a plumbing inspection separate from a home inspection. Same thing with HVAC. Consider an HVAC company to come in and do an inspection and give you a report. It's really one of the best things we can do, especially in today's market. That's really important.
That's great. Thank you, Tina. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that I haven't hit on, a question or something that you'd like to share that I haven't asked?
I don't think so, as much as just stay on top of your routine maintenance. That way, when you do go away and Debbie comes in and keeps an eye on things, you know that you have set her up for success as best you can, and you've set yourself up for success. And a few $100s of an expense versus thousands and thousands of dollars, and perhaps having to stay away from your home while it is being fixed after the plumbing comes in, and then here comes, restoration. Those are things to think about. So spend the money on routine maintenance and hire Debbie.
Thank you, Tina Makris of Knockout Plumbing. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
When you say routine maintenance, how often should the plumber be coming? Are we talking every 3 months, every 6 months? What is the usual amount of having routine maintenance?
Good question. If you have a tank water heater, every 6 months, it should be flushed and serviced. And the cool thing about Knockout is we offer a plumbing maintenance agreement, a 1 year and a 2 year, very affordable, where we will come up and do that every 6 months and service your water heater. That's a big deal. Your softener, keep an eye on your softener, on what it's doing. If you're starting to see calcification and things of that nature, you might want to call a plumber and see about a service with that. The other thing is drain health. So some of the things that I mentioned, think about what you're putting down a drain. Think about what, for example, if you apply your makeup over a sink in your bathroom, either close off that sink drain, or better yet, if something does fall into your sink and you have to rinse it out, use hot water. Hot water will help something move through a pipe a lot more than cold water will. So use hot water if you can. But the water heater and the softener, those are big things. RO systems, those are big things. So you, as just an average human, open up the cabinets and do a visual inspection of your plumbing. Take a look at your water heater. Just walk around. Take a look at the base of your main or your spigot or your hose bibs outside, and take a look at that. If you feel pressure that is changing in your water, or the temperature is just not getting as hot as it was, call a professional and have it looked at. But stay on top of your maintenance.
Yeah, good. Why don't you give your tagline? Because every time I see a Knockout, I would say Knockout Plumbing, and my son's like, what? I think he's used to it by now.
Poor kid. Well, keep us in mind. Knockout Plumbing, serving our customers and our community with a knockout job, baby, 24/7.
I love it. Well, Tina Makris of Knockout Plumbing, headquartered here in Queen Creek, Arizona, thank you so much for your time. Now, of course, I'm assuming you go all over Arizona. And so
we service Phoenix Metro and surrounding areas, and sometimes we go up into Holbrook. We've been into Prescott. We've been down in Tucson. We've been in Globe and Superior. You just never know. But we sure love serving our customers and being honest, upfront, and reliable. It's what we're all about.
I love that. Well, again, Tina, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, friend.
Have a knockout great day.
You too, baby.